Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Murray's The English Training Institute. So in this video, we are going to discuss about IELTS Speaking Part 1. If you are preparing for IELTS, you would be knowing that speaking part is divided into 3 different parts. That's Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. Part 1 is a general thing. Part 2, you are given a cue card and you have to speak on the basis of the questions that are given to you in the cue card. And Part 3 is the follow-up. Now, here in this video, I'm going to tell you about Part 1. Now, before the actual test begins, there is a non-assessed part in which you will be asked about your name, your passport, what can they call you, and things like that. So that is the non-assessed part. And when the actual part 1 begins, from there the assessment begins. And you are, given the marks, you are scored basically on the basis of your vocabulary, on the basis of your pronunciation, your fluency, and everything matters when you speak, right? So we move on to the first slide. Okay. This is the non-assessed part of IELTS. It's basically an identity check. It doesn't mean that you are not supposed to answer the questions properly here. You're definitely supposed to answer them properly, but please remember that these answers should be very short and factual. These are the 4 questions that they most probably ask you. Could you tell me your full name, please? What shall I call you? Can you tell me where are you from? Can I please see your identification? And please remember one thing, when you're answering these questions, you need to be polite and you need to use full sentences. If they simply ask me, could you tell me your full name, please? If I say my Yati Bedi, it doesn't make sense, right? So you have to speak it completely. My full name is Yati Bedi. What shall I call you? You can call me Yati. If I simply say Yati, it would be rude on my part to say like that. So we move on to the answer parts of these questions. Could you tell me your full name, please? My name is Yati Bedi. What shall I call you? You can call me Yati. Can you tell me where are you from? I am from India. Can I please see your identification? When they tell you this question or when they ask you this question, you're supposed to hand over your passport to the examiner who is conducting your exam, right? Please remember, this is the non-assessed part and your answers need to be very short and factual. Now we move on to the assessed part of IELTS speaking. Okay, so here you need to be very sure about 3 things. Your answers should not be short. I mean, too short. They should not be one word or one-liners. Number 2, intonation is an important part. Now, I'm going to tell you what is intonation. When you speak something, there has to be a rise and fall in your voice, or in simple language, you call it voice modulation, right? If you keep on speaking an answer in a tone, I mean, in a single tone, it won't make or it won't give a very good impression to the examiner. But if you speak it, giving it a proper rise and fall or modulating your voice, it would actually give a good impression and maybe your scores improve. Then, whenever or whatever question they ask you, please try to answer that question for at least 20 seconds, right? Don't make it too lengthy and don't make it too short as well. All right. Okay, so this is the basic question that they ask you. Where do you live? Do you live in a big city or a small town? If I simply sit there and say big city, it's absolutely a wrong answer. They're supposed to give me, the marks, or they're supposed to score me from 0 to 9. Now, if I simply say big city, it won't make much sense and the scoring would definitely be affected. So I could simply say like this, I Grew up in a small town, but now I'm living in a big city for say 6 to 7 years. And you are supposed to specify the name of your city. And you can tell 2 to 3 things about your city, like your city is famous for what? Let's say it's surrounded by beaches, and it's good for shopping as well for people who are shopaholic. Then you also have fantastic restaurants for people who are very foodie, right? Don't answer in one words, please. The second question they probably ask you, would you like to move to another place in future? Yes, no. So it's like very weird answer if you just say yes or no, you won't be assessed properly. You can simply say, recently I visited Paris and I was spellbound to see the beauty. There were skyscrapers. It's known as the city of love. But I'm very happy to stay in my own city, right? Okay. Now we move on to other topics. There can be any topics. There will be 2 or 3 more topics that will be discussed in part 1. It can be about, let's say, sports. It can be about jewelry. It can be about travel, hobbies, friends, dictionary, fashion, and many more. So in this, let's talk about jewelry. The very first question they can ask you, do you wear any jewelry? If I say, yes, I do wear some jewelry. Or no, I don't wear any jewelry. I'm going to say, yes, I do wear jewelry, but not at all times. In the recent times, I've become more regular in wearing jewelry. I put on anklets, rings, bangles, or you could name any other jewelry, and it depends on my mood and also on the occasion. Question 2, what kind of jewelry do you like? Here, they simply want to ask you, do you like gold jewelry, silver, or diamond? I personally like gold jewelry, but I do have a good collection of silver jewelry too, as I feel that gold is a perfect thing, it's a perfect kind of jewelry that I can wear for all occasions. Question number 3, why do people spend a lot of money on jewelry? See, it's a very subjective question. These are the 3 different points that I felt could be the answer, but definitely it's your personal choice, whatever you want to answer. Like, why do people spend a lot of money on jewelry? Probably it's a status symbol. I want to show I'm rich. I have a lot of money. So I'll be wearing jewelry and I'll go to parties wearing those jewelries. Let's say it's a diamond or it's a gold. Then it could be an asset. People do collect jewelry, let's say gold jewelry, or let's say diamond jewelry, for a kind of saving, right? And it also is, you can say, it gives satisfaction to a lot of people when they spend money on something like jewelry. What kind of jewelry do parents pass on to their children? The jewelry that parents pass on to their children, they are asking you the kind. Something that's valuable, something that has ancestral value, something that has sentimental value. It could be, you can here specify what kind of jewelry. It could be sets of gold, it could be rings, it could be anything that you feel like, right? Then we move on to another topic for the day. Let's talk about dictionaries. Now here, they are asking you, the first question, do you often use a dictionary? So my answer here could be, yes, I do so. And I use it countless number of times, as I'm an English teacher and I work in an environment where I come across new words, new combinations every day. So to figure out the meaning, the context, the combination, I do use a dictionary. Number 2, what do you use dictionaries for? Now, what does a person use a dictionary for? Very simple, to find out the meaning of a particular word. It could be anything. If I simply say to find out the meaning, that seems to be an incomplete answer. It could be, I use dictionaries to get a definition of a particular word, or let's say the meaning of the words I am not familiar with. And if you are a linguistics student, you would also figure out how to pronounce that word just looking at the dictionary, because the pronunciation is given there. And also to find out new words, I use dictionary. What kind of dictionaries do you think are most useful? Before you answer this question, you are supposed to be familiar. Are there different kinds of dictionaries? Oh, yes, there are. Number 1, bilingual dictionaries, which simply gives you a meaning of a particular thing. Then you have something called thesaurus. Thesaurus is something that gives you the synonyms and the antonyms of a particular word. Then you have online dictionaries. It basically provides you everything, the pronunciation, the meaning, the synonyms, and antonyms. There could be many other kind of dictionaries. So they're asking you, what kind of dictionaries do you think are the most useful? Now, here my answer could be, like, each version has its own special features, just as I told you that bilingual gives you only meaning. Thesaurus gives you synonyms and antonyms. So each version has its own special feature, but they all serve the same purpose. And talking about the dictionary, which I think is the most useful, it depends upon my personal preference. If you ask me, I feel that online dictionaries are the best. Why? Because they're all in one. They give you the pronunciation also, they give you the meaning also, they give you the synonyms, they give you the antonyms. It's all in one go. You get everything, right? Do you think dictionaries are useful for learning a language? Yes, I personally feel that dictionaries are useful for learning a language because there is no other way that's easy to understand the context in which we should use a particular word. What kind of information do you find in a dictionary? We find the origin of a particular word, we find the spellings, the pronunciation, the meanings, the synonyms, the antonyms, and most importantly, the usage, right? So these are the type of questions that will be asked from you in part 1. So you have to give extended answers, and you also have to, let's say, give an answer for 20 to 22 seconds for each question, right? Thank you. If you like our channel, please like and subscribe to it.